All 7 provinces of the country have presented their budget for the upcoming fiscal year with priorities to agriculture, health, education and employment among others. However, the budget presented by the provincial governments has been criticized by many, calling it an imitation of the federal budget. Good morning, I'm Sapsanamma and these are the headlines of the hour. Premier Dewa clarifies no agreement with the US's state partnership program has been signed. US Embassy in Nepal claims the program accepted Nepal's application filed twice in the past. 7 provinces present budget exceeding 305 billion rupees. Karnali introduces the lowest budget, traditional programs given continuity. Russian military says it used long-range missiles to destroy a depot in western Lviv region of Ukraine, where ammunition for NATO-supplied weapons was stored, further advancing its invasion of Ukraine. And Nepal suffers a 39 runs defeat against USA at the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 tournament. The country's political sphere has been heated with the proposal of yet another controversial US program. The release of a draft for the American State Partnership Program SPP has created ripples in the political and diplomatic circle once again. The American State Partnership Program agreement that the US says intends to support Nepal Army has met with widespread criticism. Lawmakers of both the ruling and the opposition parties have said that the agreement is unacceptable and has demanded for clarification from the Prime Minister on the agreement's proposal. Main opposition CPNUML has alleged the government of attempting to disrupt Nepal's diplomatic dynamics and that the agreement will affect Nepal's geopolitics. State Partnership Program SPP is an agreement between security bodies of 2 nations. The program under the State Department and operated by Department of Defense began in 1993. Currently, there are 85 SPP partnerships encompassing 93 partner nations. The program says it looks over disaster and emergency response, aviation operations, maintenance and safety, cyber defense and communication security, infantry tactics and counter-terrorism, among others. Meanwhile, despite the draft agreement surfacing, ministers have been denying that the government has floated any such proposal. Now, amid speculations that the government was gearing up to sign yet another controversial US program called State Partnership Program, Prime Minister Sher Dewa has clarified that no such agreement was in line, adding that the government would not sign any agreement that threatened the country's diplomatic and geopolitical dynamics. Top brass leaders of the ruling alliance during a meeting yesterday with the Prime Minister in Balwatar had urged the Premier not to entertain such agreements. On contrary, the US has disclosed that Nepal had twice requested to be a part of SPP and that the former had accepted Nepal's request. Speaking at a press conference, Deputy Chief at the US Embassy said that Nepal's request had been approved back in 2019, adding that Nepal had expressed its interest in 2015 and 17 and that a partnership between Nepal Army and America's Utah National Guard had already been forged. Meanwhile, issuing a press release yesterday evening, Nepal Army has clarified that no such agreement with the US military has been signed. Moving on, Minister for Financial Affairs and Planning of Province 1, Indra Bahadur Angbo, has presented the province government's details for income and expenses for the upcoming fiscal year. Minister Angbo has presented a budget of 39,738,300,000 rupees for the coming fiscal year for the province, which is more than 7 billion higher than that of the ongoing fiscal year. Province 1 was able to spend only 58% of its budget in the current fiscal year, saying the economic growth rate for the current fiscal year stood at 4.34%. The budget aims to achieve a growth rate of 5.41% next year. Meanwhile, Madhya Province has presented a budget of 46.88 billion rupees for the coming fiscal year. The budget presented by Financial Affairs Minister Shailendra Prasad Shah included a provision of 100,000 rupees in aid for patients. Madhya Province government has also allocated 740 million rupees for providing laptops and computers to girls enrolled in grade 12. The province government has allocated 178 million for commercialization and modernization of agriculture and another 282 million rupees for soft loans for farmers, easy access to seedlings, expansion of agriculture and livestock insurance, agro road, construction construction of storage facilities and necessary market management. Likewise, the province has also allocated 150 million rupees for increasing the income of farmers under the Chief Minister's program for uplifting the standards of farmers. Bagmati Province government has presented a budget of 70.93 billion rupees for the upcoming fiscal year. The budget presented by Minister for Financial Affairs Shalikram Jammakatil of Bagmati Province has increased the salaries and benefits of province's officials by 15%. The budget has made arrangements for construction of permanent physical structures and other infrastructures in Hetauda, the capital of the province. The province has also allocated 57.5 million rupees for promoting the use of organic fertilizers. Meanwhile, with special priority to agriculture productivity, Gandaki province has announced a budget of 35,909 million rupees. The province's finance minister Ramji Prasad Baral announced the province government had allocated 13,268 million rupees for current expenses and 22,140 million rupees for capital expenditure. The province has allocated 500 million rupees for financial management and 2,111 million rupees for local governments. Gandaki province government has aimed at collecting 5,090 million rupees from internal revenue in the upcoming fiscal year. Main opposition CPNML has meanwhile criticized the budget, saying it lacked priorities, goals and was hard to implement. Moving on, the Lumbini province government has introduced a budget of 42,635.6 million rupees for the upcoming fiscal. The province has prioritized agriculture, education, health and physical infrastructure in its budget. The province has allocated around 24,477 million rupees for capital expenditure, 13,327 million rupees for current expenses and 1,690 million rupees for the province's pride projects. The provincial government has aimed at collecting 3,105 million rupees through internal revenue, 15,353 million rupees from federal and local levels. The current budget is 2 billion rupees more than the budget allocated for the ongoing fiscal year. Meanwhile, Karnali province has allocated a budget of 32.61 billion rupees for the coming fiscal year. The budget presented by Financial Affairs and Planning Minister of the province, Bindaman Bishta, is around 4 billion less than that of previous fiscal year. The budget aims to expedite construction of roads, drinking water and irrigation projects, ensuring rapid development in health and education sector and reducing poverty while developing Karnali as a province for investment. The budget also aims to operate one road project in all districts of the province. Meanwhile, the budget has also made arrangements for completing projects from previous fiscal year and those handed over by the federal government. Sudur Paschim province government has allocated a budget of 36.74 billion rupees for the upcoming fiscal year. The province government, which has introduced a budget measuring around 6 billion higher than the ongoing fiscal year, has included traditional programs. The budget, which has prioritized in fact agriculture and infrastructures, including road, has allocated 5.6 billion rupees for construction, repair and maintenance of roads. 250 million rupees has been allocated for Chief Minister's Agriculture Program, 1.12 billion rupees for flood and landslide victims, 1.67 billion rupees for drinking water, 750 million rupees for irrigation and 190 million rupees for integrated settlements for deprived communities. Having allocated 1.06 billion rupees for improvement in health sectors, the province has separated 1.23 billion rupees for education sector. Now, in this context, in our Public Voice segment, we've asked locals in several provinces how did they find the budget introduced by the provincial governments. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
दूध कृषकहरूको लागि पनि 2 रुपैयाँ अनुदानको कुरा आएको छ, धेरै राम्रो पक्ष हो यो।
युवा फोकस्ड बजेट चाहिँ अलि पाएनौ हामीले।
महिला मैत्री बजेट चाहिँ अझै नआएको जस्तो लाग्यो।
अलिकति परम्परागत बजेट छ।
सरकारको यो नीति र उद्देश्य प्रष्ट छैन।
चुनावलाई हेरेर यो बजेटको आकार बढाएको हुन सक्छ।
जनताको जीवन स्तर उकास्ने भन्दा पनि अलि छरुवा बजेट जस्तो लाग्यो।
अलि बढी वितरणमुखी बजेट ल्याएको छ।
The government, in order to reduce the number of students going abroad for medical studies, has prepared to raise the number of intakes per year. However, monitoring bodies and experts of medical education have opined the policy, if introduced, will be difficult to implement. Around 8,560 students enroll in various of the 83 medical sciences institutions in Nepal every year for MBBS, BDS and nursing, while around 1,000 others travel abroad for medical studies. The government has tabled a proposal to allow 2 admissions per year from the upcoming fiscal year in order to retain students. However, experts highlight the lack of physical infrastructure, budget, qualified human resources, faculty and laboratories, among others, could pose a challenge in its implementation. The Medical Education Commission too has suggested it will be difficult for the government to implement the plans. The government has been providing full scholarships for 75% of the students in government-run medical education institutions, which means the government has been investing more than 2 billion rupees in providing scholarships alone. Raising the annual intake means raising the budget for scholarships as well, which analysts say could be difficult. Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what do you term the government preparation to take admissions twice in a year in the medical education sector? Your options are A, effort to curb brain drain, B, challenges in implementation, and C, planning without infrastructures. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Nepal suffered a 39 runs defeat against USA at the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2 tournament. US lost the toss and were put to bat first in the match played at Musa Cricket Stadium in Houston, Texas last night. US set the target of 246 runs in the stipulated overs, where Nepal were restricted to 206 runs in 47.4 overs, losing all wickets. Gajanand Singh contributed 58 runs, while Sushant Modani scored 54 runs and Aaron Jones added 43 runs for USA. Likewise, Karan Casey took most 3 wickets, while Sandeep Lamichhane took 2 and Deependra Singh Airi took 1 wicket for Nepal. Meanwhile, Arif Sheikh scored 63 runs, Sompal Kami 47 and Dev Khanal contributed 34 runs for Nepal. Ali Khan and Saurav Netravalkar took 3 wickets each for US, while Nostos Kenjige took 1 wicket. Nepal is placed 5th in the points table with 15 points from 15 matches, while the United States are 4th with 22 points from 24 matches. Oman has played all of their League 2 matches and have 44 points from 36 matches at the top of the points table. Balgopal Maharjan has been appointed the head coach of Nepal's women's national football team. In his decade-long coaching career, Maharjan is shouldering the responsibility of the women's team for the first time. Former Nepal national football player Balgopal has been appointed the head coach of the women's national team by the National Sports Council. Maharjan has been appointed the coach under contract by the council. The women's national football team is currently preparing for the Asian Games. The council has also called 40 players for the preliminary close camp. Of the 40 players, 8 are currently training in their own districts. According to Maharjan, shouldering the responsibility of the women's team is a challenge and an opportunity. The Asian Games is slated for next year in China after it was delayed because of the coronavirus pandemic. Prior to this, Maharjan has served as the coach of the men's national team as well. Team Nepal had won the Bangabandhu Gold Cup, 3 Nations Cup and a gold medal at the 13th South Asian Games under his coaching. He was also the coach of the Under-19 SAF Championship title-winning team. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.